Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. We also have a couple closed roadie groups on Facebook, one called Death by Loadout, another one called The Backstage Pass. With me tonight is my dear good friend back from the road. Just got done with the Rick Allen and Lauren Monroe tour, which was, from everything I heard, went perfectly. Kyle Thomas, how are you, sir?
Great, man. That was very sweet of you. Yeah, had a blast on the road for a week run there.
You all that. Listen, I won't lie to you. I take reports, and we reach out, and my brother and we all care very much that these things go well. Oh my God, the reports on this were perfect, spotless, immaculate. Everybody was really pleased. You worked your little heart out, covered a lot of bases, if I understand correctly. It was almost like you were TM, PM, and engineer all at the same time. It's like covering a lot of stuff. How was it?
It was really fun. They make it super easy. Their camp's so great. It was just being on the East Coast without our normal Sound Image family. So just a lot of calls to other vendors and stuff like that, trying to facilitate a lot of things. So it went well.
I know you were working closely with our brothers and sisters from SIR on the East Coast.
Oh, yes. Eric White and a couple other guys down in Miami took really good care of me. Same with New York. So very appreciative to SIR.
That was
Paulie
really
Montero out here. Great help linking me up with everything. So much appreciated, guys.
He's the best. Shout out to Paulie Montero. Much love. I want to say hey to the Charlie Zaricki, our dear brother, Tony Lewis and Susan Kearney. Hi, Sue. And the great Pat O'Doul. We still owe him a hoodie. His is like the first one. I wish he would have got the first one. And Pat, forgive me, my love, but you are relatively in the neighborhood, so we'll find a way to come to you if you can't come to us, but we'll get it to you. What else you got going on?
So I wanted to thank Chad Olich for last week. It was a bummer. Like I said, I just got back from the road, but it's always fun meeting someone from my home state of New Hampshire, just killing the game, and that's one of the guys. Especially towards the end, his words of advice to people in my age group, it was really nice to hear.
Yeah.
I've heard that guy's pretty stern, and you kind of need to have that mentality when you're doing that level of production with the sound responsibility and the tour managing and production managing. So very nice to hear him, what he's gone through and his kind of success story.
Well, his career is fascinating to me from the point of view that as I was interviewing him, and when I do these, I write these things up, and some people just have so much experience and so many things that they've done, and people that work for it have to choose really carefully what I can, try to find some stuff to talk about. So he was like that, and just a sweetheart of a guy. He is known for being a little bit of a tough guy when it comes to being a PM and a TM, because that's kind of what the job requires. And, and a little bit of a teddy bear when he gets behind the board and starts mixing pretty. So, I think he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. And we wish him tons of luck. I know he's getting prepared to do some European work, and he's starting to load gear. And so, yeah, thanks for coming on the show. It was a lot of fun. He had a lot of experiences, and we sure appreciate him.
Speaking of people going out on the road, we want to give some shout outs. Chopper Kovich going out with Tesla.
He's out with them. Yeah, he's doing there. He's in full-fledged force, and I know he's really happy. He had come off. That's a new job for him. And after years with his last artist, I think I'm really happy that he's with this camp. They're treating him good. They love his work. He's Chopper Kovich. He's one of the best of us. So we want to send him tons of love. He's out there murdering it right now.
Yeah, we just want to say congratulations, man. Mike Perkinpine, he's like one of the top playback guys.
Tough job.
Just got out with the Psychedelic Furs on their European leg, so we wanted to congratulate him too. That's like a dream band for me, so it's awesome.
And they're in their home tour, so they're just stomping around Great Britain, and
Can you imagine?
Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of fun. That's gonna be a great thing for him. So good for them.
Yeah, and also want to give a shout out to Travis Strain, who's been a huge help the past couple of months for a lot of the guys here. He's out doing some DaBaby stuff and has transitioned, so we're really happy for him. We just want to say congratulations.
Sweet.
Also, Noah the Beard Tanner, he's out with Skip Marley. I think he still has a couple dates, but his tour's getting, a couple of them got moved around, so a little bit shorter, but just want to congratulate him. He's out just killing it. So
I know he's a badass, and we got mad love for Noah. We want to send him our most respect and best wishes for a happy, safe tour. He's out mixing Skip right now, and he's killing it. All reports on that are really good. And that's a guy with 3 kids, and he's a special cat. So I couldn't support him more in his endeavors. I hope he's having a lot of fun, and we're going to reach out to him in the very near future regarding some other stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man.
Keep an ear out, brother.
Guy.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
Yeah, and like I said, like all these other people just traveling all around. I think Chad's going out. Chad Olich is going to do a European run with Fall Out Boy as well.
I believe so. Yeah, he's going to kill that.
Everybody's just going to Europe, man.
Well, different parts of the world are getting their stuff worked out quicker, or have waited longer for different reasons. And I know that was I believe it was a postponed tour. So, but there's all kinds of fun stuff going on, and that money's going to just sit there. So let's get out there and do the work and put on some shows, make some memories.
Totally. That was like the one thing, I can't say the band, but it was the one tour that I was like super looking forward to this summer, that was going to go tour Russia, and obviously that's not happening.
That's too bad. Yeah, you're not the only one. There's a lot of folks. And there goes Big Daddy. Have a good night, boss. My brothers. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. That's the boss man's calling it, going home at, 7:05.
Nice,
Just go home and start working there. If I know him, so that's what he does. He's just putting in the hours. But that's this time of year, and we're lucky to have these, not problems, situations coming up and working. And, we're turning over shows left and right out here. I think we got 3 going out between now and Monday, and I love it.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, we're
Shop
finally,
has a little bit different of an echo today. It's pretty hollow.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, right. We're a little thin on gear, yeah. But it's nice when we're moving and doing and going. That's I'm glad to start getting back into the season. I'm very excited about it. And I see lots of our friends, like the ones we've mentioned, are getting out there and doing their thing. So I'm super stoked about it. I want to say a quick shout out to this place called Slow Fiber. They've been with me since the beginning. When we first started, it was full COVID. Brand spanking new to us, masks were a thing, and Slow Fiber reached out. They're a fabric specialist in notions. This is needles and all the stuff it takes to be dealing with fabrics and creative processes and making clothes and so on, and whatever you make from fabrics and all these neat things. And they made us these cool sound image masks.
Yeah,
I feel like we were.
That
remember
was
those?
like some Kush stuff.
Yeah,
sound
it was
imagery.
speaker grills material on the outside, and then the soft cottony yummy stuff on the end. They were perfect. Yeah. And they said sound image. We sent some down to our shop in San Diego. We've distributed amongst our friends, and we sent some out to our early friends of the show and people that watch the show, our audience members. And that was a lot of fun. And Slow Fiber's been with us the whole way. And full disclosure, a moment of honesty. That's also the love of my life and the girl of my dreams, Jackie Canterbury. So I just want to say, I don't think I show her enough appreciation, and I want her to know that I'm absolutely crazy in love with her, and I do this for you, baby. So I'm going to see her tomorrow, and we're going to have a great weekend. So fantastic, wonderful woman. And a great business. She has a wonderful shop in Monterey, California. Beautiful. It's kind of crazy. Like, there's thousands of things in this place. Like, it's extraordinary. Going there is mind-boggling. And, she's amazing woman.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Jackie.
Yeah, she's got love for you.
Yeah, so I mean, other than that, we're just gearing up. Like you said, we're really busy right now, hammering away at some serious gigs, and it feels good to be back at work. I think next week's going to be all hands on deck. We're pretty much all booked out. So
yeah, it looks like going forward. If you look at the job board right there, there is no open slots. Yeah. I'm making new space. I'm going to have to come up with new colors. We color code all of our shows. So we can say this show's this show and that, separate them up. And I'm out of colors. So it's going to have to be like double up.
Be a 2-marker kind of day.
Yeah, we're going to have a yellow and white show and a red and black show. That's awesome. We're going to get creative. That's what we do here. No problem, man.
Fuck yeah.
You all good?
Yeah, man.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you done some stuff for the thing. I appreciate that today. Really good help and timely. You're a good man. Listen, we always try to come here Thursday nights and bring you interesting people that do interesting, fun things. And tonight is absolutely no exception. We got this cool guy that's been kind of doing some akin to what we do, but his is, I'm going to let him explain. He explains it way better. He's got a cool show they've been doing since 1999. It's called Reality Check TV. 93? I stand corrected. That's
wow.
93. Think about that.
Well, actually, the show has been going for 30 years total.
That's
30 plus.
extraordinary accomplishment. They range from interviewing rock stars, going into the type NAM and AVN. They really have a wide repertoire of the folks they track down to interview. It's a very cool show. They've won awards. Let's talk to one of the hosts and creators of Reality Check TV, and he also has a show called Ace Space Radio. Is that right, Ace?
Ace's Space.
Ace's Space Radio. Yeah,
Ace's
very cool.
Space Radio.
It's the one and only Ace Anesse. How are you, my friend?
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Genuine pleasure to be here. I've been a big fan of the show, and we managed to get our schedules in sync, and I'm thrilled to be here.
It took a minute, but thank you for doing that and finding the time. I know you're a busy guy, and we're busy, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
What a great operation you guys have here. It's a killer set, and I was looking at all the amazing gear you have here, and I don't know how you guys do it.
Well, we're lucky in many ways. We have the support of
But
our.
you have to be good to be lucky.
Well, I hope there's a bit of that in the mix.
A little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. That's going to be the title of my biography.
Your biography, your forthcoming tome.
Yeah. Well, people are always saying you should write a book, and I'm like, God, if I wrote a book, I still got to earn in this business, so I don't know. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
There's some. My thing is,
the crazy stories are the ones that make people read the book. Right?
That's true.
So, and sometimes people might get their feathers ruffled. I don't know.
Well, and it's a time where it seems to be a little more sensitivity in the air. Maybe that is true, but I also think
I don't want to, and truthfully, I like to get along with everyone, and I want everyone to get along with me, and I don't want anybody to feel badly. We may have had a crazy adventure together, and sometimes those things involve, I don't know, weird circumstances, illegal substances, I don't know.
I was going to say do tell, but obviously that's a joke. All right, well, first let's start off by telling my audience, because we got folks tuning in from all over weird spots of the planet, and the cool thing about nowadays is we can access pretty much all content through the internet.
Yeah.
So please tell us about Reality Check TV. First of all, what kind of the premise and the idea behind it, and how you guys approach it, and then where they can find it.
Well, Reality Check TV is almost like, in a way, the guys in KISS say they wanted to create the band that they never saw on stage.
Sure.
Well, we wanted to create this show that people didn't get to see and do the things and talk to the people that we wanted to talk to, as opposed to what you would see on a standard interview show, or even a standard music interview show, MTV and so on and so forth. You didn't see a lot of the underground stuff. You didn't see a lot of the odd, weird, cool stuff, and still get to see the big name stars.
Yeah.
So the idea is to create a level playing field where an up and coming band is just as cool and important as a Metallica, let's say.
Sure.
And we do all of that. So we get everything in between. And then we also kind of branched out into other areas of entertainment. There's a lot of adult entertainment.
Sure.
There's a lot of, we go to a lot of cool and weird, strange events. And the focus is to kind of talk to the people who create the atmosphere or the show or the event or whatever it might be, and get their story and try to present it to the viewers so that at some point in the future they can check it out for themselves, Yeah. So it's a doorway or look into something they may not have ordinarily have seen. Secondarily, if it's a well-known artist, maybe hear questions or see a different side of that person or entity, so that they're not getting the standard. Because, one of the things that always drove me crazy is you get an interviewer who doesn't know a goddamn thing about the subject matter.
Yeah.
And so they're asking these kind of dopey questions and sometimes getting pilloried by the band.
Yeah, that's true.
And we try to avoid that. So we come from a place of knowledge and respect and worship.
You're kind of a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, me too. I'll admit it.
You have to be a fan, and you have to know what you're talking about, and I think that helps me personally and us in general, the other guys on the show.
Sure.
That we're coming from a place of love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not there because somebody assigned us to do it. We're there because we want to be.
Yeah. And it probably comes. Well, I've seen it.
I think it comes through. It translates, I believe.
Well, these cameras are amazing. They will pick up bullshit from a mile away. So it's that's a real thing. So like I mentioned, to you, our product is sincerity. You guys have had a really good run. I know that you've even been awarded by the state of California. How the hell do you get a Senate
wait,
you
I
got to
have
show
it
the
right here.
people, so they're not going to believe me.
Look at that. There it is, boys and girls.
Right there.
I have
Tell
one
us
of
about
these
that.
from both the state senate and from the assembly. Scott Wiener, who's my local state senator,
Yeah.
is a really good guy. I met him back when he was a supervisor in San Francisco, and he
right.
went on to the state senate. Phil Ting, who's our local state assemblyman, he's fantastic, and they both do great work in Sacramento, period.
Yeah.
And the fact that I've gotten to meet them and they decided that I was worthy, and reality check TV in general.
Sure.
We've got 30 years and 740 something episodes
Extraordinary.
of content, and then we've also been part of a number of documentary films, and I have some of them here.
Yes, sir. What do you got?
I have Bay Area Godfathers.
Very cool.
Here,
You can
camera.
probably explain that one really quick.
Bay Area Godfathers, and it's Bay Area Godfathers 2, the companion piece.
Yeah.
Bay Area Godfathers is a document of the late 70s through the early 90s.
Very cool.
Rock, punk, rock and metal mostly. And the idea there is to chronicle kind of a golden period in the Bay Area music, Bay Area music history. And it covers bands like, obviously, the Metallicas and the Testaments and the Exoduses and the Death Angels and all those great bands who are about to go out on tour, actually, as the Bay Strikes Back tour.
Yeah.
So, Bay Area thrash is alive and well, boys and girls.
You bet.
But Bay Area Godfathers also covers bands like Jet Boy and Vane and Y&T,
Yeah, very
who
cool.
were street kind of glam rock bands.
Yeah.
In fact, Jet Boy was a band that was way ahead of the curve. They were playing shows, and Guns N' Roses used to open up for them.
That's right. That's true.
So, they didn't get kind of the credit they deserve. They got bounced around on record labels and
I
stuff
felt like
with-
that for Y&T as well. I thought Y&T really...
Y&T, well, they ended up having a couple of platinum records.
Yeah, they did well in
okay.
the middle 80s, huh?
But they kind of came from a street sense as well,
Yeah.
as opposed to, the Journeys of the world. Nothing against Journey. Neil Sean.
They're wonderful.
Love Neil Sean.
Yeah.
And,
Extraordinary. Very cool.
So that's a 2-part documentary, and that's just a couple of the things. And there's another great one I want to plug, Band versus Brand. Band versus Brand is about the music business and how the name of the band has become way more important than who's in it. So you have your foreigners out there, and God bless Mick Jones, who was a very nice guy.
Yeah.
He's the only original member.
That's true.
And you have Jeff Pilson, who's from Dokken, and you have what's his face? The singer is from Hurricane.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all fantastic musicians, great guys. And they do it from a place of love. Speaking of coming from a place of love.
Yeah. But I think the question is foreigner with Mick Jones or not, without Lou Graham, and that's a tricky one. You can do the thing like they've done with Arnell with Journey in place of Steve Perry, and it works pretty good, especially if you close your eyes. It's pretty damn good.
Well, Arnell, I got to give a tip of the hat to that guy because here's a guy who came from the Philippines.
Yeah, it was
and
hard for him. That first year, kicked his ass.
Sings his ass off.
Yeah.
And hits all the notes. And
Perfect.
he's also got great stage presence on his own.
That's right.
And I've seen both Steve Perry and Arnell singing with the band, and I tell you, that's one of those rare times where the guy who came in to take over for the guy is as good, And
I would say they're a little different in stage presence, but they're absolutely, like I said, you can close your eyes and you're right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of nutty.
Yeah,
But
I
I
haven't
feel
had
like
the pleasure of meeting him, but he seems like a cool guy too.
I noticed that with Foreigner, they kind of tried to have this sense of trying to get that Lou Graham sound.
Yeah.
But that's a tough one. I mean, there's no two Lou
Although more
Grahams.
recently, like they came the last time before pre-pandemic, they had the original members sitting in on certain things, kind of like what Alice Cooper was doing for a while. There, he had the original band members come in and doing some songs with the band on stage.
Yeah.
And so that way you still get the pleasure of seeing the original guys, but the guys who are holding it down now are also in the mix, and that's like really cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, but with a band like Alice Cooper, having kind of some first-hand knowledge there, and what's a little different with Alice Cooper's current touring band, which is some of the I mean, as musicians,
Phenomenal.
they're phenomenal.
Nita Strauss, who I've
Oh my God, right?
Yeah, we love Nita Strauss.
Yeah.
We had her when she was in the Iron Maidens on Reality
Yeah,
Check TV.
right on.
And she's amazing, great girl, and
Yeah.
just
Great
actually,
guitarist.
great guitarist, and
Yes.
great woman, I should say.
Yeah.
And just amazing, and she's really like stepped up her game another 1,000%, like to.
Well, there's just the artists today, some of the musicians are so talented, so proficient, and they have so much access to what is possible. And the difference between, say, 1978 guys playing in Alice's band, those were guys that made the original. That's a very different energy than, and you couldn't have Alice Cooper without those guys and those sounds.
No. Neil Smith and Dennis Dunaway, who I've actually met those guys.
Yeah.
Hung out with
Legends,
them.
really.
Super cool guys. You know,
Absolutely.
just good people.
Yeah.
And they don't have any bitterness either. Like whatever is all water under the bridge, and that's important.
Definitely.
Because things go awry and business situations change.
Yeah.
If you get too bitter,
No good for no one.
yeah, you lose the game, man.
Especially the person that's getting bitter. Yeah. Well, we're talking about legends right now, and I had a question about, as a guy who's trying to figure out the interview game, kind of coming up from the Johnny Carson tradition and the
Johnny Carson.
and the Dave Letterman vibe, like old school NBC version. How do you prepare for an interview? I mean, for example, I was fascinated to see you got Billy Sheehan coming up, which Billy Sheehan's a goddamn legend. You're
Yes.
doing him April 2nd, I believe. How are you,
That's right.
What's your secrets? How do you prepare for something
And
like that?
just so the boys and girls at home know, that's for Aces Space Radio, which airs every Saturday on RadioValencia.fm.
Perfect. Thank you for doing
Yes,
that.
4 to 6 p.m., RadioValencia.fm, Aces Space Radio. Billy Sheehan, now we've had him on Reality Check TV a number of times, and he's just, again, one of the nicest guys. His relationship and I go back to when I worked at Guitar Center. And
Wow, no
Mr.
shit.
Big came in to do like a in-store thing at Guitar Center.
Okay.
So it was Sheehan, Paul Gilbert, and Pat Torpey.
Yeah.
And Eric Martin was absent for some reason, even though he lives here in the Bay Area, but he
Right.
wasn't there. But the other three guys were, and they did a signing, and we got to hang out and have just chat. And every time I've ever run into Billy Sheehan at different events, at NAMM and wherever, he always comes over and says hi, and if we're doing the camera thing, then I'll have him on camera.
Yeah.
And so I was promoting for upcoming Aces Space Radio on Instagram, and he answered me just on a random thing like, how are you? And I said, oh, I'm good. Hey, would you like to be on the show? And he goes, yeah, sure.
Of course.
Just like that. Boom.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. And that just shows you what a cool guy he is, And he's also happens to be one of the most fabulously talented bass players in the history of the universe.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. He smokes. He's full shred, balls out. Yeah. Just
So
amazing.
I'm excited to have him on my radio show. And the radio show, just so people know, is something that I started about 6 or 7 years, maybe 8 years ago, on another channel called Mutiny Radio.
Okay.
And that I did it for a year and a half or so, and then I put it down and just focused on Reality Check TV. And when the pandemic hit and we couldn't do any Reality Check TV and I couldn't do interviews, there was I felt that gap in my life. Like, I don't have anything to do. Like, I want to talk to people. Let me start the radio show back up. And so, recently I've had, my friend Frank Meyer and Eddie Spaghetti from the Super Suckers was a good one. I had the Nashville Pussy.
Very good.
Yeah, Blaine and Ryder, who are amazing. And we've had a lot of fun adventures together. They've been on Reality Check TV a number of times. So when that opportunity came up, I was like, yes, Nashville Pussy, got to have them on the show.
Yeah.
And, I've been pretty lucky at pulling down good guests, but I also get great local bands or unknown bands. I had a really cool band on called Voodoo Moonshine.
What was it called?
Voodoo Moonshine, and
Cool
they're
name.
from Florida. And I had another band called Wild Ride, and they're from Kentucky. So I'm also finding new up-and-coming artists.
Yeah. Pushing out to the world.
Yeah, and so
very cool.
it's kind of having that level playing field. Like, I like this band. Not many people know who they are, and I like this guy who's happens to be one of the most well-known instrumental performers in the history of recorded music.
Sounds like you haven't forgot where you came from. Respect for the game and respect for these.
You want to, if there's
young
good
talents.
music and good people out there, I want to promote that.
Yeah.
So
Good.
that's where that comes from. Absolutely.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this one out of order, but we were just on the subject. You mentioned Guitar Center and Mr. Big being, of their time, one of the better, seriously more proficient
Well, they had
kick-ass
like a
rock
couple
bands.
of top 10 hits there.
Yeah, they really did well for a minute. My brother loves those guys. Great production on their albums. I mean, some of the best recorded rock and roll there is. But working at Guitar Center, a lot of us in our industry, we're some cocky little shits, and so
Whatever do you mean?
so we can be a little look at Guitar Center with a little bit of a jaded eye. But I do know a lot of heads that had come up in their early days. It's a great formative place to work at. What would you do over at Guitar Center?
I was the accessories counter manager.
Okay.
I actually started out just as a salesperson and worked my way up to being the boss. And I became the top writer on the in that department. And that's not easy because a large portion of what I was selling was guitar picks and guitar chords and strings and shit. So if you're the top salesperson in that department, you're hustling.
Yeah.
But what I always tried to do, and I think I was successful at, was being a straight shooter with my customers and making sure that I listened to what they really wanted and recommended the best thing for them. So it could be a foot pedal, it could be a set of guitar strings, whatever, And I tried to make sure that they were satisfied. And I had the lowest rate of return in the entire store.
Yeah.
Because if I turned somebody on to something, they bought it and they were happy with it. And if they wanted the better model, then they would come back and they would turn the old one in and get the new one. So I never had anybody just go, that was terrible, why did you give me that,
Yeah, right.
So
Now the customer, I guess.
that comes from my years as being, actually I did a lot of customer service and retail management. So I knew how to make customers feel good.
Right.
So it was really just applying those skills to the music situation, learning about my products and learning what the different signal processors did or foot pedals or whatever. And even, like I said, different types of chords and whatever else.
Well, it sounds like understanding of the product and bedside manner come to
a
me.
little bit of everything, and just,
and it makes for good
wanting
outcomes.
to make people feel good about their experience, because I know that, believe you me, people would come into Guitar Center sometimes with an attitude like, they're out to rip me off, and I knew who those guys were.
Yeah. I got to ask you, you've done a lot of interviews. I mean, a lot. And I know you've had some real standout ones that that felt close to you.
Yeah.
What was your favorite interviewee you've done so far?
This is a tough one. I get to ask this one a lot. Malcolm McDowell, who did A Clockwork Orange, and he's a fantastic actor, and he's been in Star Trek Generations and Tank Girl, and he was in one of the Rob Zombie remake of Halloween, and Caligula, and Clockwork Orange, all these different amazing films.
He's a special cat, for sure.
So, actually that one, I have to say, was one I went into with a little bit of trepidation, like, what happens if we don't click, know? But I won him over, and by the end of it, and at home, I have a giant Clockwork Orange poster that he signed to me, and it says,
valuable.
"To Reality Check TV, Viddy Well." Malcolm McDowell, and I was like,
cool.
awesome. We have it framed, and it's huge. It's a major size thing, and that's sitting in my hallway at home, and along with we have a whole row of Best of the Bay awards and stuff like that, and
Cool.
So really my house is kind of like a museum.
Well, I mean, you guys are you're an institution in the Bay Area. There's no doubt about that. And I'd like to think spreading farther and farther by day and by technology.
I can only hope so. We have a lot of views on YouTube, particularly. I think we're in the millions and millions and millions of views, and I think to myself, God, how do people hear about it? Because we don't have an advertising budget. We're not, but it gets, I guess it's all word of mouth. And there are strangely clips that have gotten millions of views. We don't know why.
Fell into the algorithm somehow.
Somehow it gets, things go viral, and there's no control over that. So I don't know what that's about, but and they're like not what you would think would be traditional interview type things.
Right.
But that being said, like another good one that I did was John Sykes recently. It was just before the pandemic.
Oh,
he did an appearance at the Metal Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And he was about to put out a record at that point. And as I understand, he doesn't do a lot of interviews.
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah, so I cornered the guy and I said, I'd love to do an interview with you. And I guess he saw my passion for it. And he goes, well, all right, you know. And we got going and it ended up being great. And it went, you know, Blabbermouth picked it up. Blabbermouth.net, cool. My good friend Borvoy.
Yeah.
So Blabbermouth picked it up and it got a lot of traction. So that's one that's out there that, you know, has really done well. I've interviewed Paul Stanley from Kiss, my personal favorite. In fact, I got my Kiss laminate here since it's Beyond the Backstage Pass.
Very cool.
I also have this is a recent one from Death Angel.
Those guys roll.
I did a thing for Death Angel. I was the online host, so we did like a Q&A thing between the bands.
Yeah, sure.
It was fun. And here's one from Motorhead. God rest
those guys.
Lemmy, my brother.
Yeah.
Lemmy was a very,
God.
very dear friend of mine, and when he passed away, I cried like a baby.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, no, he was a special cat. He was a one of a kind. There was nobody like Lemmy.
Absolutely, yeah.
And his shenanigans were, legend.
So Lemmy's another one that I've interviewed. In the first version of the radio show, I called him up and I said, hey, would you like to be on the radio show? He goes, okay. I go, could you do this Saturday? And he goes, sure. You know, just like that, you know, and that's that kind of relationship that he and I had. And he was a sweet man. I miss him dearly.
Complex, I thought. I found him to be complex. He had very interesting views on many things, and his collections.
He also was a crackerjack. That guy was smart as a whip, man. Don't be fooled. You know, he did more drugs than a lot of people I know.
Yeah.
And I never saw him fucked up. That was the interesting part. Like, I sat and drank with that guy. And
that was, there was no way to keep up with that.
You cannot do that. I mean, he'll knock you under the table so fast, it's crazy. You know,
I was surprised when he passed away. I thought he was going to live forever. I swear to Christ, I did.
We all did, you know, but the fact is he burned the candle at both ends and in the middle all at the same time with a blowtorch, and he survived for 70 years, bless his heart.
Yeah,
so,
what a...
Here's to Lemmy. We miss him.
Yeah, Lemmy is God, and I think Mikey threw out a cheers from behind the camera. We mean that here. We Lemmy worship at the altar of Lemmy.
And so, but yeah, getting back to the interviews thing, Paul Stanley from Kiss has been on the show, I think 3 or 4 times, and he's definitely one of the best interviewers. First of all, the guy is a super pro at being interviewed.
Well, but he's also got a point of view, so that's nice. You know, he's got things to say. He's a deep dude, and like you said, he's been doing this for what, since '74.
Yeah. I mean, the other one I like to highlight is Stan Lee from Marvel Comics. Rest in peace. Stan Lee was a hero of mine since I was knee-high to a grasshopper.
Sure.
So when I got the opportunity to meet him and interview him, you know, again, I had that half a second of like, okay, okay, fuck it. And I just jumped in there, did the interview, and at the end of the interview, and we have this on camera, he goes, you know what? You're a really good interview. I really enjoyed that. And there was a moment where my head exploded inside, you know, it was like,
yeah.
But I watched I watched the footage back not long ago, and I was like, in my mind, it seemed like a lot longer pause, but I went, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, boom. But yeah, that still blows my mind to this day because Stan Lee had been interviewed by everybody, you know?
Yeah, he was definitely available to that. And,
yeah, he was the nice guy, and I interviewed him two times and met him 3 or 4 times in total. And he was always super cool. I mean, he was like 90-something years old at the time. Yeah. And just an amazing man. And, you know, what he created, what he and like Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and all of these guys created is now a hundreds of billions of dollars, $1 trillion industry.
Probably, yeah.
You know, think about it. All the related products that come out with Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and the Hulk. And, you know, these are all characters that he and 2 or 3 other guys came up with and created this entire universe that you now see in theaters and on Disney Plus in multiple TV shows and so on and so forth. it is completely permeated pop culture all over the world.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it was him and a bunch of guys sitting in an office in New York City making shit up.
Making shit up on disposable paper.
Yeah.
That for a dime a pop. Yeah, I don't even think they had any idea they could do that.
No. They were just having a good time. Like, what can we do now? Well, this will be weird. Like, let's do that, you know? Yeah. And they just came up with the most outlandish things and fantastical. And one of the things I asked Stanley was like, now that we've got the technology to realize these grand visions on camera, you know, what is that like for you? He goes, I love it.
They said what?
He said, I love it.
I bet, yeah.
I love it. It's so great, you know, because, you know, there were some stabs at making comic book things in the 70s and even in the 80s, and they were all awful. Yeah. You know, with the exception of the Hulk TV show.
Hulk was, Mr. McGee Don't Make Me Angry. I remember that one quite well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a couple other ones. I think even Spider-Man had a live run. I think. I think Wonder Woman too.
Wonder Woman, that was a good show actually, because Linda Carter is so great.
Yeah, I think people just probably liked looking at Linda Carter. I don't know. But TV was so much different back then. I remember it wasn't uncommon to have a mic drop into the set. You know, it was it's all done in the back of Studio City.
Yeah.
And so it was just a different thing for sure. Mm-hmm. I have to ask you, just to get inside your brain a little bit.
Well, you had one other question I forgot to answer completely, which was how do I prepare for an interview? I don't really do a lot of preparation, and people think I'm crazy. Like, no, there's no way you could do that. And I go, a lot of it is the knowledge is in here, and the way I get people to talk is I just get them to relax and try not to ask like standard Q&A questions like, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Who asked that question? Was that Barbara Walters asked that tree question? I think that was classic.
Somebody asked a question. I heard that one time, and I knew
it was Barbara Walters, I'm sure.
Probably.
Yeah, she asked. It was one of those year-end specials, and she did that. What kind of tree would you be? You know,
who cares?
Fucking czar.
Yeah. That's a dumb question. But, you know, so I try not to ask dumb questions.
Well, she was trying to be clever. That's the cute part of that.
I think maybe.
She was trying to be clever, and it just came off so strange. I just, to this day, that's what, 35 years ago, and I still have no clue what she was actually asking.
No.
Yeah. What kind of tree would you be?
Well, and, you know, like I was saying earlier, it frustrates me when I see interviewers who don't really know anything about the subject matter or the person that they're speaking to. Me, I'm going into the interview, I know that person, I know their work, you know, and if I don't know it that well, then I will do a little bit of research to bring myself up to speed. Yeah. So that's not difficult, especially in the modern age with you know, Google and whatnot.
Yeah, we're really an embarrassment of riches when it comes to data and information.
Sure. It's at your fingertips, man. You know.
Just gonna have to know how to ask it.
A friend of mine who's Eddie Trunk, who has his own interview show on Sirius XM and whatnot, and people call in all the time and they go, "What's happening?" Like, let's say with Foreigner, okay? What's happening with Foreigner? I haven't heard anything about them. And it's like, dude, you live in the internet age. Yeah. You type it in. It's, you know. There's search engines for this stuff.
Yeah, just Google it, man.
Come on, dude. If you're really, I'm their biggest fan. Well, if you're a fan, then you know, or you can find out, you know. Instead, you're calling into me. Like, why are you calling me?
Well, I think people want to get on Eddie's show. He's got a great show. And of course...
Eddie's been on my show a number of times.
Yeah,
he's a good dude.
Very good at what he does. I can imagine you two getting along really well, and that being a really good fit. I might have to reach out to him one of these days, but I stopped at the first place first. The good stop. I got to ask you, just because I want to get in your head a little bit about your musical interest. Thank you for coming on the show, Dresta. I personally, if I didn't wear the role the way I roll, I think I would be something very similar to how you're rolling right now. I like the look. It's very cool.
Something I threw on today.
Yeah, it's a good look, man. It's a
people like
classic.
See me out and about, and they're always like, "Oh, you dress so nice," and I'm like, I like to dress nice when I go out because I feel comfortable this way. I actually do. Yeah. When I'm at home, I'm not dressed like this, obviously, but well, when I do go out in public, I do like to dress up. And
you look great. And, you know, I think we're losing that a little bit. It's not uncommon to go into public. Me and my wife will talk about this.
You go to a fancy restaurant nowadays.
People like sweats and shit.
Yeah, come on, man. If you're going to go out to a nice place, dress the part, for God's sakes.
Yeah. A friend of mine came in today with the, I call them birth control. What are those? What are the Uggs or something? No, I don't know, these weird
Oh, I
sandals.
hate those things.
You know,
Talking about Crocs.
Crocs.
No, Crocs.
That's it.
Oh, they were
Oh
even
my
worse.
goodness! And it just, like I said, I call them birth control
Man.
because I can't imagine you getting a girl with those
No.
on. But
No.
so I don't go out of the house. Matter of fact, I just don't go out unless I put me on.
Yeah.
So I have a
come
pair
on.
of Crocs, and you're gonna be like, "Fuck, what have I been doing with my life?" There's sport mode built into them.
Oh, what?
Fucking great.
Oh, they're really comfortable.
Oh, I love
Why do
them.
they have to look so bad?
They look attractive.
They're the ugliest shoes
Are they
in
not?
ever.
It's not me, right?
Yeah, no, it's
They're
not right.
hideous.
No, they're terrible.
I would rather be uncomfortable. I'm going to just say it right here and right now.
Yeah. All
right.
I
I'm
would
wearing
rather
comfy
fucking be
shoes.
uncomfortable than look like an asshole or a bigger asshole than
Yeah.
God already did to me.
I don't know.
I gotta ask
Especially
you, what
because
was
they're
the?
so generic looking and they're so. I mean, they're straight ugly.
Yeah, they just. Okay, whatever. Sorry about that, guys. Little fashion moment there. I got to ask you. This for me is I know an informative question to me in the sense of many of the people that I know in my own experience as well. And it tells me something. What was the first album that you bought with your own money?
Ooh, that's a great question, and the answer is I actually bought 2 albums at the same time: Deep Purple, Made in Japan,
Oh, that's a great fucking
and
album.
Led Zeppelin 4.
See, that's a glory day at the record store.
There you
because
go.
that is a really wonderful live
And I give all
recording.
the credit to my cousin Richie, who was into all that stuff. And
Yeah.
when because I was into pop stuff, and my parents had like Beatles and Stones records that I wish I had all those old 45s
Sure.
and all the original pressings of all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's great.
But I hadn't yet found my identity, and then I had somebody had given me like a K-Tel like record and a John Denver
I remember the K-Tel
record,
records.
you
Yeah.
know, and those were those were given to me as gifts. But
Yeah.
when I started hanging out with my older cousin a lot, and he was turning me on to Zeppelin and Deep Purple and Genesis and
Yeah.
a lot of prog. He was into a lot of prog rock, you know. I got into that, but yeah, the first 2 records I bought with my own money. I went out and bought Deep Purple, Made in Japan, and Led Zeppelin 4. So those
Both just really monumental albums.
cornerstones of music.
Yeah,
right?
and I think it probably showed you the way going forward.
yeah.
Yeah, I
You want to
imagine.
hear my Richie Blackmore story?
Of course, it's Richie Blackmore.
Richie Blackmore. So Richie Blackmore has a reputation as being difficult.
A little bit.
He came into a store where I was a retail manager at the time. I was head of customer service, in fact, and I spotted him right away because nobody else looks like Richie Blackmore.
That's true.
And so if again, I had that moment where I was like, should I say anything to him? Fuck it, I'm going to do it. And I walked up to him and I said, excuse me, sir, aren't you Richie Blackmore? And he goes, yeah, that's right. And I go, well, I explained to him my position. I'm head of customer service, and if there's anything I can do for you, I'm happy to help you. Did you need some stuff? He
Yeah.
goes, well, yeah, I just moved into the area, and I need some things. And I go, well, here's how it works. It was a place called Service Merchandise, and you write down what you want, and we would send it to the back, and they'd
Yeah.
put it on a conveyor belt and comes out. So I just went and took care of everything myself. Got everything you want. And he bought some knickknacks and stuff for like fireplace equipment and odds and ends for, decorative items for his new house that he right nearby where we were living in Southern Connecticut. And he was really like, thanks so much, and I was like, no, not at all. You're Richie Blackmore. I mean, come on. So I take it out to his car and everything. I'm carrying all the packages, and he goes, well, would you like an LP? And he happened to have a Rainbow Live record in the back of his car, just randomly, and he signed it to me, and he handed it to me, and he goes, hey, you know where I can, like, go to a quiet pub and have a pint, So I gave him a couple of recommendations. Oh, thanks, man. And so I survived my encounter with Richie Blackmore. Not everybody can say that because he, like I said, and Ginger Baker too. I survived.
Oh, that's considerably harder. Considerably harder.
Well, I was interviewing Chris
10 times harder.
from Masters of Reality, and he was in the band.
Yeah.
And just as I'm wrapping up my interview with Chris Goss, in comes Ginger Baker. And again, I know Ginger Baker has a reputation as being.
He's got the
crazy.
reputation. He's like the leader
and if you've
of
seen
the
his documentary, he beats people.
He's gnarly as hell. And maybe a little crazy, frankly.
He was crazy.
Yeah.
But
Great drummer.
He comes in the room, and I was just wrapping up with Chris, and Chris goes, oh, this is my friend Ace, we just did an interview. And I go, Mr. Baker, hi, nice to meet you. just like that. And he goes, hey, nice to meet you too. How are you? You know, and chatted me up for a second or two, and you know, and nice to meet you. Have a great show, and and off I went. And I was like, man, I got through that one, you know. But
he's legendary hard that way. But I mean, how often do you get to meet a guy who played drums with friggin'
Cream?
Yeah, that's
Come on, you know.
It's kind of extraordinary.
I mean,
and he was
one of the
extraordinary.
greatest paratroopers in the history of ever. You know.
Couldn't say it better myself. How do you feel about? You notice this? I'm sure you've noticed this trend. You know, across America, there's a lot of great little houses or mid-sized houses. We've all worked in them.
Yeah.
You know, I know you've got history this way. Maritime.
I've worked at Maritime Hall. I worked at the Regency Ballroom.
Yeah.
Slim's, Great American Music Hall.
Well, actually, of those four, I think 3 are still in the mix.
Yes.
But we lost and I see this is happening kind of throughout, especially with the COVID, and there was a lot of closed time and not money being
A lot
made.
of independent venues have gone down, but Maritime Hall has been gone for about 20 years now. But
Slim's, you know, Slim's for
went
us.
down. That wasn't a COVID thing.
That was just
They were
bars
already
just saying,
going
I'm
to
out.
close it down, from what I understand, based on what I've heard from people who work there. Who, you know, because I still had good ties with people there.
Yeah.
It was already on its way out. After Dawn Holliday, who was one of the co-owners and general manager, retired.
Yeah.
Then they had some different people in there booking, and you know, Dana, who was one of the old school bookers, but she moved on, and so then it was like I guess Golden Voice was booking it, or
I think you're right.
or Live Nation. One of
No,
the two.
I think it was Golden Voice. I could be mistaken.
Either way, and it limped along for another little while, and it just wasn't doing anything, and then it just kind of petered out. Great American's still there, and that's where I got the Death Angel thing, the Great American Music Hall with Mordred and Moulton. What a great show that was.
That must have been fun.
Yeah, but
Death
I miss
Angel's still
Maritime Hall.
brilliant.
There was recently it popped up online. It was 20 years or so, or 20-something years since Maritime Hall had gotten popped for a show. Crash Worship did a thing where they had fire dancers and fire and stuff, and we basically were outside some of the rules and regulations about fire and whatnot in the crowd, and it was a completely sold out house, and we also got raided by the ABC, which is Alcohol Beverage Control.
Oh, I'm very aware who that is.
ABC came in, and somehow they got a decoy to get a drink at the bar who was underage, and
Jesus Christ, I didn't even
got
think they had
slammed.
that enforcement arm anymore.
oh yeah,
It's
they do.
ridiculous.
So I
but
do the doors at some places, and you know, a lot of people are like, "You're pretty tough on the rules and regs," and it's like, yeah,
that's how we
I
keep
am,
the damn
because
place open.
it's a $10,000 fine plus a potential 28-day shutdown, which is like death.
Yeah, that is that.
Yeah, so you don't want that, and so I don't take any chances. I check everybody's ID. On Christmas, I was doing the door at this place downtown called Alchemist, and
Did you say Malcolm's?
no, the Alchemist.
Oh,
It's
Alchemist.
It's by the Oracle Park. Mm-hmm. It's about a block and a half away.
Oh, sure.
And this kid comes in, and he tried the thing where I couldn't see the date of birth. It was kind of obscured in where his wallet. I go, "Can you pull that out for me, please?" And I look at it. No, dude, you're 19 years old. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You're going to put me in jeopardy.
That's right.
For come on, I can't
I
have
always
it.
feel sorry for him. I know I got it, but I think me and you probably got into a lot of stuff before we were allowed to because we were working or we were doing some other things.
Yeah.
And so I always felt bad for the youngsters that weren't allowed in until their proper
When
age.
I was growing up, you could drink at 18 on the East Coast.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
do I have empathy? Absolutely. If you're old enough to drive a car, you're old enough to own a business, you're old enough to pay taxes, you're old enough to do this, you're old enough to do that, but
Go
you
to
can't
war.
drink? That's dumb. That's just dumb.
Yeah, it's an interesting, but I think that one has
It's
more to do with
critical.
like brain chemistry and development. We're not at 18. We are certain responsibilities and certain development, but I'm not sure your brain's all the way developed until you're about 25. So there's and alcohol has a way of messing with that. At the same time, I find it very problematic to say
If you can
can't
vote-
have a drink, but you can take this gun and go overseas and shoot at people with my name.
Right.
That's a
There's
tricky
that, too.
one. So
That's
when
another thing.
when you put things next to it, but we don't take on the big problems here, my brother. Let me ask you about your thought. You've got your show, I've got my show. I've got at least 4 or 5 friends that got shows.
Fair assessment.
Yeah, and they bring it in different ways. We all come at it from a different approach. What do you think in this? Have you had any opinion or sense of what's going on with all these podcasts coming out? And does this cause you any competition? Do you find it good? Is it promising to you? I mean, how do you feel about it? 'Cause I feel like there's a bunch of them, but at the same time, I don't mind them. I like them being out there.
A friend of mine named Jason Green has a great podcast called Wasting Time with Jason. He is a bass player in a band called the Sin City Sinners, a great punk rock band in Vegas.
Yeah, that's a good name.
You know, and he's doing very well with it, and bless his heart, you know. So I encourage anybody who's doing it, and if you have the time, energy, wherewithal, and good connections to get good guests,
Yeah.
and then really comes down to asking, you know, like we're doing here, talking back and forth, getting people to talk to you.
Yeah.
And he's doing very well with it. You know, Dean Del Rey, an old buddy of mine, has a podcast called Let There Be Talk.
Oh, Let There Be Talk. Cool.
And he's doing great. He's also now a stand-up comedian. And he used to book the Stone and the Omni and the One Step Beyond back in the day.
Oh, those are great rooms.
And he had a great band called Ghost Town. And what was another two? Tulane Blacktop. That was another good band that he had. And he just segued out of the music thing into, he's even done some acting, you know.
Wow.
And so his podcast is doing great, so good for him. Way back in the day, my friend Mike Butler had one of the earliest podcasts, and it's still going now. It's called Rock and Roll Geek Show, which I highly recommend as well. Rock and Roll Geek Show, he's a trendsetter. I mean, you know.
I haven't seen this. I have to check this out.
Mike Butler, he's got a great band called the Butlers. They kind of do like Thin Lizzy and like, you know, covers and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah, they're a fantastic band.
Sounds kind of cool.
Yeah,
It'd be fun.
so I don't look at anybody as competition. We're all colleagues.
Yeah, I agree. I like the cross-pollination thing.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
A lot of my friends, we've been on their shows and vice versa.
I've had people who do other shows as well on my show, and I've been on their show. I'm going to do Zetro's Toxic Vault.
Cool.
Steve Zetro Souza from Exodus.
Yeah.
That'll be the next thing that I do. And Zetro's Toxic Vault thing is really amazing. He's got a cool set, too.
Right on.
And he's had all kinds of people on there. And I had him on my show. And he does a thing called a trivia challenge. And I was like, put me on your show and I'll go toe-to-toe with you on trivia challenge. We'll see who's the trivia master.
Yeah. You haven't done it yet?
Not yet.
All right, I'm going to look for that.
In the next couple of months.
I'm going to look for that Toxic Vault. Zetro's Toxic Vault.
Yeah, you should check it out. So Zetro, for those of you who don't know, is the singer for Exodus. And he was the second singer. Paul Bailoff was the original singer.
Of course.
And then he was in and out of the band at different times. Now he's back in. Rob Dukes, who was the third singer, and he did the Toxic Vault together, and they go head to head on the Toxic Vault, and it's amazing. That's one of the best. That's some great television right there.
No shit.
Rob Dukes and Steve Zetro Souza.
Where can we find that?
It's on YouTube.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Just
I'm gonna
look
look
up
it up.
Toxic Vault, Rob Dukes, and Zetro.
What's on your wish list? I got to ask you. Who's your dream guest?
Ace Frehley, my namesake.
Is he going to come on hammered? You going to come on your show hammered like a maniac?
No. He's been sober for 15 years.
No.
Yes, Ace Frehley's sober, dude.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to see that.
Yeah, he's been sober for 15 years. He's on my wish list. He's a number one on my wish list.
Wow.
I've been so close a number of times. Not the last time, but the time before, he came around and Richie Scarlett, who was in the band at the time, is a very old dear friend of mine. We hung out and John Ostrowski, who's his personal assistant, and I go back to my days when I worked for Gibson Guitars.
Yeah.
And he promised me he was going to get me an interview, but Ace doesn't like to do interview on show days, and he just didn't want to do it. So I haven't been able to get him on the TV show and the radio show.
He's got some really specific opinions about his experiences. You know this?
Yeah.
And depending when you catch him, he can be...
He's a really good guy, though. And,
I'm not saying anything bad about him. I knew he liked to drink.
You know what I mean? So, but I've sat with, when they came around the most, and they played at the Cornerstone here in Berkeley. And I hung out, and I'm sitting there next to him. We're just shooting the shit. And there's like all this chaos going on around us. We got the guys from Machine Head in there, and all kinds of people coming in and out and paying tribute to him. And I'm just sitting there with him, and we're shooting the shit. So, he's a good dude, man. I just haven't been able to interview him on camera or on the air.
I'm sure you get him.
It's going to happen.
Well, I mean, I think tenaciousness is definitely in your game for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who was your trickiest guy? No, actually, forget that question because I want to get up against it. I want to ask you.
There have been tricky guys, and I'm going to answer that question only because there have been one or two times where, like, I just wasn't able to extract anything. And that's so rare, but Brent
Monosyllabic,
Spiner,
yes.
Brent Spiner from Star Trek.
Yeah.
And he plays Data.
Yeah,
and
yeah, everybody knows.
fantastic actor. And I sat down with him, and he just, for whatever reason, he was reluctant, but he agreed to do the interview anyway. And I'm talking to him, and I'm trying to pull stuff out of him, and he just was like a brick wall, man. That was like one of the few times where I just wasn't able to get much out of him.
Yeah.
You know, and
Sounds like Data was broken that day.
and Data was broken that day. But subsequently, I ran into him at another convention, and I said hello to him and everything, and he was like, "Oh, do you know where the restroom is?" And I took him to I said, "This is the better one to go to, not the public one."
Sure.
And he was really thankful.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't do an interview after we'd already done an interview.
Yeah.
But I've interviewed a few different cast members from both Next Generation and the original series, and that's another big thrill.
Sure.
Because like George Takei,
Yeah. He's fun. He can be funny.
fantastic guy. And
Great
Michelle
sense of humor.
Nichols, fun.
Yeah, oh, her.
Wonderful woman, a pioneer. You know, she was told by Martin Luther King that she could not leave Star Trek because if she did, it would be a big disappointment to millions and millions of young women who were aspiring.
Yeah.
You know, so she's a role model. And she later went on to work with NASA to bring women and people of color into the space program.
Yeah, she's a pretty amazing
As a
person.
recruiter.
I think also the first interracial kiss on TV.
The first interracial kiss on
There's a
TV.
whole bunch of stuff that she was
She's a
part
really
of.
amazing woman, and
Yeah.
you know, the last time I interviewed her, it had been a little bit of a gap, like
Sure.
2 or 3 years or whatever. And so I don't expect her to necessarily remember me, but as soon as I walked up, she goes, "I remember you."
You're memorable,
she was
brother.
just so sweet, you know.
Yeah.
And I love her. Yeah.
I have to get in your head a little bit about. It's a little bit a departure for me. I don't know much about the world of it, but other than any other healthy American male. But about your adult stuff, I know you did go to the AVN Awards. You guys
Yes.
got a lot of content in your page of your experiences there. I know from what I do know of it, it's a convention that happens yearly in Las Vegas.
Yes.
It can be a lot of fun depending on your point of view.
Yes.
Tell us is there any special things you have to do to prepare for that? I know there can be nudity and sexuality.
Yeah.
You just go in and do it and do
Go
the
in and
interviews.
do it, you know. And
Yeah.
I have some relationships with certain people. There are people who when I'm in Vegas, I make sure I see my dear friend Kiki Dare, who's a wonderful woman, very sexy lady, and she's a Hall of Famer, an AVN Hall of Famer.
Yeah, she's been in the game.
So she's been around for a long time, and but as far as like doing the interviews, like I said, I don't do a lot of preparation beforehand. Especially there are a lot of newer porn stars coming up, and if I don't know them, how am I going to do any prep?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So the key is to just get in there and find that whatever that thing is and get them to talk.
Sure.
And I recently made really good friends with a girl named Dresden, and she's fantastic. I love her. She lives here in California, actually, and wonderful woman. She's super like over the top, but super sexy. Love her. So yeah.
I imagine it's good traffic for your page. You got to have a lot of folks
we
come
get a
and
lot
see-
of, a
enjoy
lot of
the
people
content.
get into the show because of the porn star thing.
Sure.
And whatever works, I mean, I find that, again, it's a level playing field. Adult entertainment is just one other form of entertainment.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, and yeah, it
Very
generates
large
a lot of
lane of
money.
entertainment.
So that's why, these things, whenever we go to AVN and, you see there's dozens and dozens of women and some dudes too.
Sure.
Who are, and they're holding down the booths and they're talking to people and they're signing autographs and taking pictures and everything.
Yeah.
They work hard, man, And,
Yeah, that's true.
And then you try laying on a hot set with lights and people standing around and you got to be sexy.
Yeah. I do it for an hour every week, man, and I got it on lock. I totally. But listen, man, what's next for you? What are you doing next?
Well, like in the immediate future?
Yeah. Well, I know you got the Billy Sheehan thing coming.
Something we just did, actually. We just finally filmed a new episode of Reality Check TV. We had Steve Zetro Souza on the show. We had Steve Esquivel from Skin Lab, a band that I used to work with, both doing video. I did a couple of videos for them, and we had him and some of the guys from Mordred, and
Cool.
It was a really good show out at Vinny's in Concord.
Oh, sure.
Have you been out there?
Yeah.
They just redesigned the place. It's fantastic.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Where can our people find you on reality TV?
Reality Check TV
Yeah.
is realitychecktv.com. That's
Sweet.
very easy to find. There's also a Facebook page, just type in Reality Check TV on Facebook, Reality Check TV 2 on Twitter, Reality Check TV on Instagram, although those pages, the social media pages, haven't really been updated that much except on Facebook.
Gotcha.
But and then there's Aces Space Radio. That's on Facebook. You look that up. Just type in Aces Space Radio Show or Aces Space Radio. At Ace Reality Check on Twitter and at Ace Reality Check TV on Instagram and Ace Anesse on Facebook. By all means, please do hit me up.
Very cool, man. I highly recommend you guys check him out. He's got some great content. Like you said, over 700 shows. He's got his radio show.
Yeah.
Absolutely entertaining. Good stuff.
I want to get a plug in for Flamin' Groovies is a band that I do some road
Yeah, the
managing
Groovies kick
for.
ass.
Yeah, Flamin' Groovies are playing at the Sweetwater in Mill Valley on the 14th of April. I suggest everybody come out and see that. That's going to be a great show.
Flaming Groovies, Sweetwater,
Yeah,
Mill Valley. In April.
Thursday the 14th of April. That's the last show they do before they go on a European tour. For a
No,
month.
that should be a really great show.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. If you want to get down.
And my birthday party is coming up.
Where's that?
That's going to be on Friday, May 27th at the Cat Club. I'm turning 60.
Son of a bitch, dude! You look great for 60. I
Thank
want
you.
Send me an invitation to that. I want to come. If you'll have me. If you'll have
Everybody
me,
here is
I'll
invited.
come.
Please come out to that. It's at the Cat Club in San Francisco. It's 1190 Folsom Street. The club is actually the club night is called Strutter.
Okay.
Oddly enough.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
Kiss- the
a
Kiss thing.
little Ace Frehley
Mr.
connection
Omar
there.
Perez
Yeah.
and Miss Adrienne Scissorhands and a bunch of other great people are DJs there, and they've graciously let me sit in. I also do a lot of DJing. Oh, and the Haight Ashbury Street Fair. Last thing before we go, the Haight Ashbury Street Fair this year is Sunday, June 12th. We're returning after a 2-year hiatus.
Yes, sir.
And don't know who's going to be performing it, but I will be the MC at the standing stage, which is right next to where Amoeba Records is.
Yes.
I MC that, and I also do all the production and do all of the, stage management and all that stuff. I basically, myself and this guy Jeb, who runs the stage crew, and Third Ear Sound, who do a good job for us.
Yeah, good guys. Friends of
So
ours.
we are going to be back, and I'm very excited because I get to be back out there on the big stage in front of thousands of people and talking all a bunch of nonsense, and
You're gonna kill it.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's really like that one I fell into. I like doing DJing. I like doing MCing. I like doing all those things. So, come on
Well,
out.